Hear the news on June 21st of 2026, there's going to be a huge solar flare, and that's it. It's all over. What do we do? What do we need to be prepared for this, right? And this is just talking about sustainable, feeding ourselves and really moving forward. I don't know if that's the case at all, but that was just a scenario, right? But these are 5 things that I think that if you really want to either be homesteading or be on the survival side of things and growing, these are 5 things that you must have in your garden. Wouldn't you know, we're taking a step away from the garden today. So I don't really talk about this much because honestly, there's not a whole lot to talk about, but these are my blueberry hedges. Okay, so I've got, I think 8 blueberry plants up here. Perennial plants are huge. You basically set it and forget it. I trim them once a year, I fertilize them twice a year, and then that's really it. I don't weed them, I don't do anything, and I harvest. They took a while to get going, right? But this area is known for blueberries, specifically where I am in coastal North Carolina. So we went with that because, hey, if you're known for it, you've got the right soil for it, you might as well do it. So this is for blueberry plants. I'll just quickly how we maintain them. All of these in fall. Fall is the time to do your planting. Reason why this video is coming out now. If you want to plant anything perennial, fall is always a better time because it has the whole winter to sit in the ground, get its roots comfortable, and then in the spring you're already ahead of the game, right? And bonus, you get everything on discount. I got each one of these plants. They were smaller then, but still they were pretty good size. I got each one for $5. Put it into perspective, we planted these 8 years ago and it took about 3 years to get them up and running so we could get something kind of decent. Now, over the spring this year, we got about 20 pounds of blueberries off of these plants. They were absolutely loaded down. So all we do is we come in here in the late winter and we'll trim this off, right? This is just dead, it's not doing anything. And then what we're gonna start doing this year, now it's time is we'll come in and you can see we've got a weed right here. I don't ever pull them out, but I will for this. We will be cutting out the older canes so they can grow new canes. So we'll be doing that as well, but that's really all we do. And then we just harvest. Camera cut off there. We can freeze them, we can put them back. You could can them if you want. We eat them fresh. So it's just a small piece to the puzzle. And you can add anything else in like that, but just adding stuff like perennial plants is really gonna make a huge difference. The other thing too is, in the same breath as perennial plants, is fruit trees. Fruit trees are really important. I've got some other fruit trees and I'm adding more this year, but this is a peach tree that we put in that just doesn't really like this area at all. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this out of here and I'm actually gonna just move it right over here, if I can get through to it. So we did a bunch of wildflowers here this year and they did okay. But I think we want to go ahead and put a fruit tree right here, give it the space it needs so it gets plenty of sun, and then try and grow it there. We have 2 peach trees. 1 peach tree is absolutely producing. We bought that 3 years ago, and in the first year, it gave us 60 peaches on the first year. So, you can see like you get fruits right away. Now, not all trees do that. So for instance, we've got this pear tree over here. It's like 8 years old. It hadn't given us a single pear yet, not a flower, nothing. So I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna let it grow, do its thing, but it's not really our friend at this point. So the trick with fruit trees, it's the same thing. You learn how to prune them. So we prune our peach trees so that anything that's blocking light gets cut away. And then you open up the middle so the sun can get in. But we fertilize those 2 to 3 times a year as well. And that's really about it. Now I'm not sure what I want to do with this area. I know I want to put a peach tree in here and I may put another kind of fruit tree in here. I may put a plum tree in. Those are my 2 favorite tree grown fruits. So if we can get those fresh, that would be great. But the ideal way is to get crops that produce at different times of year. Maybe you get an apple tree and a peach tree. You know, maybe you get my buddy grows figs. Figs grow really well, so get a fig tree. You know, if it produced summer, spring even, I don't know if anything produces in spring, maybe, and then fall, you can go nut trees, anything like that. Any kind of tree that reproduces, that keeps going. The problem, well, let's hold on to nut trees. We'll come back to that one. To get into the garden for a minute here, we can't have a video on Sandy Bottom Homestead without something in the garden. I would say having a solid, realistic, seasonally appropriate garden is paramount. What does that mean? Well, it's everything we've been talking about on this channel. It's cool season crops in the cool season, warm season crops in the warm season, 3 to 4 season growing, employing shade covers and low tunnels, all that good stuff, planting and producing and getting your timing right. Don't just go out there and be like, I guess I'm gonna plant something. Oh, I need to fill this up. Make a plan and stick to it, and then grow your food. That's really important. That's what's gonna set you apart and really help you grow and really survive even longer than anticipated. We get into the garden, you can see it is in fact growing. It has completely changed and it will continue to change, but this is the season in which we get a new breath of life into the garden, and it starts to grow a different set of crops where we let it go in the summertime and then we bring it back this time of year, and here we are. So, you know, make a plan, stick to it, and grow what you think you can grow and what you need and the quantities that you need. One tomato plant's not really gonna do it, right? 6 potatoes isn't really gonna do it. You need to scale up. So just keep that in mind as you make your plans and you make your decisions on what you wanna do. Now, something that really helps the garden, and I think is the most important thing you can have for any kind of situation like this or in general, and this really steps away from the survival side of it and goes directly into just life. You need to get some chickens. Yes, that's right. Chickens are paramount. I think they are the most important thing you can have. Right now we just combined the rest of our meat birds. We've added 2 roosters in, and we have now 12 birds in this run. We are getting around 8 eggs a day, roughly. So, you know, eggs are a really important aspect to this. It's a good source of diversity, protein, fat, stuff like that. It's a regular occurrence, so you can get a lot of eggs, and they pretty much come regularly until the winter time. So what happens is, as the sun gets lower and lower, the chickens kind of take a rest, and they'll slow down laying, if not stop laying. Well, you can trick them by adding a light into the coop, but we don't do that because we don't want to mess up the natural life cycle. So we use that as a way to just say, hey, we're not going to get a lot of eggs. We're going to take a break from eating them. We haven't bought eggs in probably 12 years. We just don't buy eggs anymore. If we don't get eggs, we don't eat eggs. But we eat so many eggs that it's crazy. So eggs are really important, but it steps outside of that. So a big thing about all of this is being multi-purpose. Everything has a multi-purpose, and this is like the Leatherman of homesteading and gardening. Yes, we absolutely do get eggs. We do get meat. So these are our meat birds. Here you can see how much they're significantly younger and how much bigger they are. So we're trying to get them to mate, but we can eat these if we want, but we want to make more chickens, so we're not going to eat them. We get manure for the gardens. So you see this mound right here? That's all manure that we need to scrape out and then add to our compost, and we make another pile somewhere out here just to let it age and cool a little bit, because it's real hot nitrogen right now. So we use the manure. We put our scraps in there, so they eat that. We put our weeds in here. They eat the weeds. They do all kinds of things. It is absolutely crazy what a chicken will do for you. The source of meat from them is very wasteful. The eggs are where it's at, so don't depend on the meat. We got that covered though, don't worry, here in a second. But we focus on the eggs because you get per bird, per effort, you get a lot more out of them for the eggs than you do the meat. Okay, so one thing that is not on this list is bees. I don't think it's necessary. I think it's helpful, and I'm gonna give it an honorable mention. I don't think you need as many hives as we have, but if you had a hive, I think you could boost your pollination a little bit, even though bees don't really pollinate your garden that much, but it does help the area. It can help your fruit trees if you have them. So just one hive would do, and you wouldn't even have to really do a whole lot to manage it. To throw that in as an honorable mention, you know, there's all kinds of ways to do bees. If you want to be very simple about it, get a hive, get a jacket to wear, a smoker and a tool, put them in there, and then just let them go. You don't have to manage them. If you're not really interested in collecting a lot of honey and selling it, you don't have to. You can just literally let them be wild bees in your yard and you will benefit from that. So that's my honorable mention. But let's cover the meat category real quick. All right, so we'll take you out and show you. Man, there are so many spiders out here. This is really important, and I brought you out here because this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I learned that is something we should all focus on. I personally believe it's paramount that you learn to hunt, okay? I don't think you have to be a crazy hunter, but I think it's really important, and I think it's important to get in touch with the food cycle. You know, breaking out the meat comes in a plastic package from the grocery store. I think it's important to understand how meat is procured, how you do it, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. And yes, it is gross, and it's a heavy moment when you kill an animal of any kind, especially a large game animal like a deer, bear, whatever you want to hunt. So I think it's really important that you do that. And it's a way to procure meat on your property or for your family without having to deal with manure, without having to deal with animal feed, without having to deal with electric fences and all that stuff. You know, this is a natural way of living. And yes, you can raise animals, but it gets more and more complicated and more expensive. It's a fraction of the cost to get yourself a gun, some camo, and some shells, and go out there and get at it. You know, watch some YouTube videos, learn how to hunt, so on and so forth, and get in tune with what you do. But there's also a really easy way to get into it. Before we do that, we set up out here, and then we hunt down here. Sometimes we go to public game lands. We've gotten some areas where we can hunt, stuff like that. So we try to go out there. The biggest season runs from late September all the way into February. So, and we don't just hunt for large animals. So hunting for large animals isn't really the best. Take it from my experience. If you, and you know, this is if you're in a pinch, not like, hey, we're just gonna go out hunting for fun or whatever. But small game will feed your family more than large game. It's easier to get a bunch of small game. So, and I know people will scoff at this, but squirrels are delicious. Squirrels, rabbits, all that kind of stuff. You can load up a freezer faster than you can with deer, right? Remember when we were talking about nut trees? Well, here we go. So nut trees are going to bring in the squirrels, and the squirrels are going to eat your harvest. So why not get two harvests off of one tree, right? It does take diligence, and you do have to be, you know, fairly well-minded, because what we want to do, and this is just my thoughts, you know, you can do and try and be environmentally conscious and keep like a healthy, thriving population on your property, because squirrels is something you can hunt in your property no matter where you are. All you need is a higher powered BB gun. You don't even need a high powered one, but it's easier and it's a cleaner kill. But the nut trees will bring in the squirrels. You can thin out the population during the season, and you can keep that level lower and feed yourself at the same time. So just consider that. On the same breath, I was for a long time a vegan homesteader. I don't talk about it a lot anymore because that's part of my past. I didn't eat any kind of meat. We did eat I take that back. My rule was if I hunt it or I kill it, I eat it. So we would fish and we would do that. And hunting and fishing are the same, so you should definitely learn how to fish. And then our eggs, we raised eggs, so we would eat those. But we never bought it from the store. We just didn't want to be involved in the factory farming aspect of the society. So we didn't do that for many, many years. And then I realized I needed different nutrition and stuff in my body. So I kind of switched away from it. But at the same time, I started hunting more so I could put more on my plate and my family's plate that was natural and healthy and not, suffering swines from factory farms and stuff like that. So we did that for a long time, but you can do that as well. And if you're going to focus on being a vegan homestead, then you need to up everything that you're growing much more. You need to factor in things like beans, nuts, stuff like that to help with you. But just know that either path you go down, it is absolutely possible to meet your goal of surviving and thriving. You just need to be creative. And these are the steps that we took. So I don't want to raise a cow. I don't want to milk a cow. I don't drink milk, so I got no need for that. And a side of beef, it cost me a fortune. So it's cheaper and easier, and I enjoy to go out and hunt for my food. And that works for me. So whatever works for you, but these are the 5 things that I suggest that you do and you learn to do that will help you in a survival situation go a lot further.